Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of SEOs Getting Coffee. Today we're going to be talking about transitioning from SEO to another area. We're going to be talking about transitioning from SEO to social media marketing, and we have the wonderful Josephine Rudolph. Josephine, please introduce yourself and thank you very much for coming on today.
Yeah, so I'm Josephine or Josie, and I am a social media manager at 𝗘𝗺𝗺, and I also do freelance social media managing for a few clients. Most importantly, WTS, Women in Tech SEO, which is really exciting.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Yeah, so I guess really it's that how did this transition to start off? Like, how did this transition come about? So you were once working in SEO and you decided to make this transition. What kind of prompted that change? What prompted that decision?
So, actually, to be really fair, like when we start all the way back, before SEO, I did social media management
Okay.
for like 2 months, but then I kind of got into SEO. It was by luck. It was I got an internship in SEO, and at that point, then I wanted to transition back to social media, but then I kept getting jobs in SEO, and then I did fall in love with SEO, as I think everyone on this podcast probably knows. SEO is a very nice field. It's very creative. But I did always I'm a very creative person, so I always excelled in the creative part of SEO, not so much the technical part. And yeah, like I say, one of my clients is Women in Tech SEO, and actually I got the opportunity last year to for WTS Fest Berlin, which is a SEO conference. I got the opportunity to cover it on social media, and I was very grateful for that opportunity, because before that I've kind of like put my social media ambitions on the back burner. And then I actually did a great job, apparently, because now
Wow.
I'm still working with WTS now on like a regular basis, and that's how I started going back into social media. And I've really noticed that it's just comes a lot more natural to me. And yeah, then I got the wonderful opportunity last year to now, like in January, I started this job as full-time social media manager, and that's how it came. But to be honest, it was always in me. But also, I feel like SEO, I'm definitely not someone who will say that SEO is dying, but it's changing, and I think we can all admit that it's changing. And I don't think that's a bad thing, but I've just also noticed that it's changing into a direction where I don't think that is where I excel, because like I said, I'm very creative. I'm not very good technically, so that's just, I couldn't see my future in SEO anymore.
Mm.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying about how search is changing. I mean, to me, it sounds like a lot of skills. And I was talking to, I was on a podcast recently talking about what SEOs can learn from paid social in particular. And in my head, creativity should have always been part of SEO. And the good SEOs have like both kind of the creative side and the technical side. But it's interesting what you're saying, that it's moving more towards technical, and that influence your decision. Was it a hard decision? Were you kind of thinking, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it?
It was like mixed. Like the decision to switch jobs was very easy, because I love my new company. I love my team lead. I knew her before, so just working with her was just, I would have jumped probably for any job for this opportunity. But it's the hardest part for me was leaving the community behind. As I said, obviously I'm very involved with Women in Tech SEO. Even before I worked with them, I was a community member, like really active. Like half my friends are probably out of WTS. So, and then also in Berlin, there is like a really active SEO scene. So there's like, even beyond Women in Tech SEO, there's like meetups all the time, and it's really Berlin is like, because I'm from Berlin, I should have probably added that. It's very easy to be an SEO here and to be in the scene, and it's really fun. Social media, not so much. There just isn't as big of a scene. There is no WTS for social media, so it was hard for me to reestablish myself, to deal with, and I'm still dealing with that, to understand that now I need to find new people and new connections, and I'm really excited for that, but it's not as easy.
I don't think you need to find new people. We're still your people, Joe, and you're still a massive part of WTS community. And one thing that I would say is that there's a lot that you can learn as an SEO from other channels, and that you should be learning from other channels. So
Yeah,
I think it's a good thing that you're
exactly that.
still
I
with
think
us.
yeah, exactly that. It's like, you have the opportunity to make sure that you're kind of conversing and kind of keep in contact with people that are working in different channels, even different industries, and I think that can only, it can only be positive, really. And I think it stops that kind of siloing that happens, which obviously we all know is, kind of really bad for any SEO just being left on their own devices doing SEO and not speaking to anybody else in the marketing team, right? So Josephine, in what ways would you say that SEO and kind of social media complement each other in, like, how do you kind of, is there anything that you kind of learn with SEO and doing SEO for so many years that you kind of now kind of transfer over to, like, social media management?
Definitely. I think there's a much bigger overlap than people would think at first glance, because when we think of the core, it's always, wherever you do social media or wherever you do SEO, it's always for the viewer, it's always for the audience. And it's funny because also, like, SEO, like, there are algorithms, but you still do it for the viewer, for the customer. And then social media is basically the same, because there are algorithms and there are things you can do that benefit you algorithmically, but you still do it for the viewer. You want your, like, ideal customer to be happy with the content, and also, it's both content. So I think there's actually a lot of the research I've learned for SEO, especially when writing content, when researching which topics are interested. A lot of that I still do. It's very similar in social media. You also research, and I also think that's a huge part. I have actually started when I was still in SEO, when I was collaborating with social media, because I just noticed that it was so ineffective. Because in the department, sometimes we had the same topics, but then there were like 2, sometimes 3 different researchers. So there was like SEO, there was social media, there was like the newsletter team, and we all had like a seasonal topic that was currently hot, and we all did independent researches. And it was such a waste of time, because at the end of the day we all researched for the same company. So that's when that was the first time when I noticed, hey, this is inefficient, and started to share research and be like, hey, who wants to cover this topic? And I still see it the same now, like, as social media from that side. I think you can collaborate. I mean, if there is a content team that does other content, like the newsletters or like the blogs, then talk to them. I think, the siloing is still a big problem in marketing. And also just when you make content targeted to your ideal customer, it's the same for me in SEO or in social media. I think in social media, I see a lot still focus on like trends or what might be good for the algorithm. And I think in SEO, there's like a bit of more understanding for, you really need to customize it to your target audience. I think social media can still learn from that.
Yeah. You were mentioning algorithms and things like that. Obviously, I work across digital marketing, and I've always wondered what other people thought about when you compare doing it for the algorithm. You never do it for the algorithm, but there's some things that you need to know particularly in technical in SEO, to be able for Google to be able to crawl and index and all of that stuff. And very similarly on social media, which one do you think is tougher? The algorithms on social media or Google?
I think it really depends how far we see it. Like if I'm thinking about like reaching like a reach through the algorithm, I do think in SEO it's a bit easier because it's a bit more straightforward. But then when it just really comes to things that can go wrong, like when I'm thinking like accidental like de-indexing and all this, like I think that's harder in SEO, because in social media you immediately see it, right? Like I can see if my posts are there. The only issues there can happen that maybe you forget about the different font sizes, and then viewers on like smaller phones can't see it. That can happen, but that's more obvious. Like in SEO, I did sometimes have the case that somebody somewhere put something on no index and then it affected a lot of pages and that was not easily discoverable. So I think social media is more direct.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about that as well. Like to me, particularly with organic social, I think it's much tougher to get results from organic social, which is partly why a lot of companies jump on the trends, because if you jump on the trends, the chances are higher. And getting something to go viral or whatever, if it's not a trend, is very difficult. And particularly because, I mean, Google has paid advertising as well. So, and we see it now in SEO, they're pushing more the paid side and AI overviews and all of that stuff. But I always felt that the social media pushes paid even more than Google does, because the organic reach is just so kind of low in most cases. So it's an interesting discussion anyway. I'm quite technical, so I always think about these things as well. So you spoke about transferable skills, and there's many, I agree, completely. So when you're thinking about your transferable skills, have you done any kind of, before you decided to switch into social media, what are some of the like tactics that you use to make that decision? Did you like sit down, think about your transferable skills and thought how that maps out to social media? What was the process? I'm just thinking for anybody out there who is thinking of jumping ship from SEO. What would your advice be? Where should they start, and what should they do?
Yeah, so for me, it was a bit backwards, the process, because I just got the opportunity and then I just was there and then I suffered under imposter syndrome. So then I was like, then I decided to map everything out, and that can easily be done before. So yes, so I think the important part is that you just look at like all your tasks and then you look at it, okay, I'm creating content, that is the same. There is like research to be done, and that is also the same in SEO in social media. I think it also really depends on what have you done. Like if you're an SEO right now, what is your specialty? I think it will be much harder if you're a technical SEO to transition. It's not impossible, but it's will be much harder. But if you're an SEO focused on content or like more like of a generalist, then it will be much easier because you know how to create content, you know these things. And also another transferable skill is just, I think, just by working in marketing, just by in general just working at like an office job, like you have a lot of transferable skills. Like you know how to deal with deadlines, you know project management, you know how to work with other teams. If you as an SEO have worked with other departments, it will not be much different as a social media manager. So those are a lot of the skills, and I can just advise anyone when they look at their like dream role, whether it be in social media or in a different department, just really look at all the skills that are needed. And especially in the soft skill department, you will find that a lot of skills, they're just transferable. Or like if you need like buy-in, like your presentation is not much different if you're an SEO or if you're in social media. I mean, the content, yes, but the overall structure, it's the same.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think you make a good point. Sometimes you just fall into something. You kind of think, oh, look, this job looks really interesting. I'll apply for it. And all of a sudden you're hired. And that can trigger the dreaded imposter syndrome. And one way of dealing with it is exactly what you were saying. You know, even if you don't do it before you apply for the job, once you've applied for the job and got the job, sit down and think about why you got the job. You got the job because you do have the skills, and that kind of helps you maybe understand that you're in the right job, that they didn't make a mistake and just hired you for no reason. So well done. Well done for doing it. It's never too late to do it.
Yeah, I think in general, like the thing is, like if it's not like a very, very junior position, usually you have like a case study or something, like you have some test work for a job. So, I mean, they've seen your work. So I think that's what we all forget when we get imposter syndrome. Like you were hired for a reason. You already done something that made them decide we want you. So yeah, I think we always forget that.
Did you do any of it when you were applying? How did you kind of approach the fact that you come from SEO and you're applying for a social media manager's job? Are there any tricks that you would suggest to our listeners if they're planning to like jump ship that they should do in the application process?
Yeah, I think freelancing a bit in that department, or just it doesn't need to be paid. Like maybe if you have like a friendly neighborhood business, if you have anyone in your connections, just to show it, because that really helped me in my application, that I could show, hey, like you can look, for example, at WTS. I can show like I did this, I did my work here, and then also I could show all the skills I've already done. So because I do think it's kind of hard for a company to just believe that you can do it. So I think that's always a nice way when you don't want to fully commit, because I also know for a lot of people it would be hard if they are currently in like a mid-level or senior position to just be a junior again, to just be an intern again. There's no shame about it, but financially it would be very difficult. So I think it's a good way to just start doing it on the side, so you still have your job and then you can gain the skills and you don't necessarily need to level down. But also in my application process, I really highlighted the transferable skills. Like I didn't say I can do research for SEO. I said I do research for content, which is not a lie because it is content. And I think it's important to not be too specific, because it's yes, you've done research. I'm not doing research now different that I'm in social. I research a topic. It's not rocket science.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's very important distinction as well. Is that like more marketing teams should be making, they're just making sure that you're all on board with, okay, this is our audience, these are the things that they're talking about, these are the things that we need to kind of be researching and making sure that we're the authority on that. It doesn't matter whether it's SEO or it's social media. It's basically the content that it needs to be, and it's just a question of medium, I guess. Is like, okay, well, this is going to be delivered in a video format on social media, whereas this is going to be delivered in a blog format, or this is going to be delivered in a long video format on YouTube, right? So yeah, it's the topic, and like you say, the topic and the subject matter and remains the same. When you measure success like in social media and in comparison to SEO, do you find that, like, have your KPIs changed in any way? Have reporting methods changed in any way? Or do you find it pretty similar?
It really depends on the setup, I would say. I think in general, like most companies, like SEO reporting is a bit more in depth. It's a bit easier than social media reporting, because in SEO you just have more data, especially because it happens like on your platform, it happens on your website. So you have more access to it. On social media, sometimes it can be a bit tricky, depending on, do you have like a third-party analytics, or do you just have to work with what the platform gives you? Then it also really depends on which platform are you focusing on. Some platforms have better internal analytics tools than others. And yeah, on social media, it's definitely harder to track because it's also not as straightforward. I think nowhere in marketing we really have that straightforward funnel anymore. But I think especially on social, it's hard because it's hard to prove that 3 months from now, a person is confronted with our company and they chose to buy it just because, like, social media is a lot of branding. You can definitely use it for conversions, but also it's just the branding effect. Like, you see this company and then you see it and you see it, and there's a psychological effect that just something, the more you see it, it's more positive in your brain, it's more positively connotated. So it's very hard to report and to prove that because this person saw my infographics 5 times, now when they decided to get a software, they thought of our company as positive. They probably don't even know why. So even if we do a post-purchase survey, they probably don't know, they probably don't remember my infographic, but their deep brain knows it.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, even that is a bit similar in SEO when you think about content. And I know a lot of SEOs kind of struggle when they have KPIs that are connected to revenue or conversions, and they should have them. You need to have those KPIs, but then showing how your blogs are actually impacting that can be tricky unless somebody converted directly from your blog. So it's kind of this journey. It's much easier in e-commerce, obviously. So again, transferable skills, I think. Thinking about content and how you're showing results in SEO when it comes to your blogs. And then maybe talking about that if you have an interview for social media, acknowledging that it's hard on both, and using that experience, I think. So the other thing that I wanted to ask is, obviously, I feel like I don't even need to ask you, considering that now you're working in social media, but search has changed. And I'm of the opinion that search it never did just happen on Google. So if you're working in SEO, you should be looking at social media search as well, because that really helps your SEO strategy in many ways. You get to understand the audience better, you improve your ranking. So you shouldn't just focus on keyword and topic research that's happening in your SEO tool. You should actually be utilizing social media. And we had that whole thing about TikTok being a search engine or not. What do you think?
100%. Even before the TikTok happened, I still remember my very first SEO internship. We were taught to also look on Amazon, like what are people searching, because it was for e-commerce. Or also, YouTube has always been a really big search engine. I think it really got a lot of attention with TikTok, because I think it's just also quite controversial to use TikTok as a search engine, and I'm not really advocating for it. I don't think it's a good place for facts. But yes, it is a search engine and it can be used like that. So I think it's very important, because also it depends on where is your audience, because I think the more information you have about your audience, the better. Like, I really want to know everything about my audience, even what they do when they're not currently interacting with our product. And I think it's very helpful. And I think it's just the truth that there's more social media. And I think it's like used now. And I think it's also with like there's always moments where search might not be trusted. And I do believe we see that there's more of a wave now of people seeking that one-to-one connection. I mean, we also see it with like Reddit blowing up, other communities like blowing up in the SERPs. I think it's more important now for people to see a real person, because also I think as marketers, we knew for a long time what goes on behind the curtains. But I think now a lot more people are seeing it firsthand and are maybe not as trustful. I mean, there have been like shady advisory articles written by copywriters just for affiliate links for years. And I think now people are waking up and are questioning more. And I think social media, I mean, there's also a lot of shady things going on, but I think there's still more trust if you see someone talking to you than if you see a page.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And I think this is, again, a value that you bring into the business as well in your new role, because you understand that actually success is also so tied to your customers that you need to you need to do the research, the keyword and topic research on social media. So is your plan now if it isn't, I think you should definitely be the person who has that research done across sharing it across the organization, because it's one of the things that SEOs sometimes forget. They're so ingrained in doing it on Google and doing it in SEO tools that they maybe don't even have time to do the social media side of things. So it would be interesting. Send them. Do you have a team at the moment in your company for SEO?
Yeah, there is a team.
Excellent. So
And it's really great just because there's right now I'm really happy because there's no silo thinking, because there's still, when I talk to a lot of other people or also past companies, there was so much silo, but now it's just like, here we all are involved in this one topic, let's talk about it, let's share our knowledge. So I can really advise anyone, no matter where you work, in which department, it's really important to just share knowledge, because also it's just especially when it's a really tricky subject, not everyone can be a subject matter expert. If it's something really a really hard topic, maybe it is encryption, maybe it's cybersecurity, you don't need everyone to be totally in-depth subject matter expert, because then nobody gets to do their actual job. So if you have someone, then share knowledge. And if you have dove deep into a topic and you are the expert now, yeah, share it, please. Like, let's all make great content.
yeah, and use these spaces to research what's popular on each platform, and then have a meeting, talk about these are the things that are popular here, these are the things that are popular here. How does it fit into our content strategy? So it's some good advice. I mean, Sean, we had semantics, and he had a whole presentation about listening to your audience, and he has promised me that I will get the Reddit API now, so that I can pull things
wasn't necessarily a
automatically.
promise,
It
but
was a promise. He has promised me in front of all of those people, and now I'm mentioning it so that I have it online as well, this promise.
not sure if that's, I'm not sure how much of it is on record, but yeah, we
No,
will
it
look
is.
into it. We will look into it. Josephine, finally, I just wanted to ask, if you were to kind of sum up, like, a couple of lines of advice, like a couple of sentences of advice of just anybody that's thinking of transitioning to a different role, or even transitioning to a different career, what kind of, what advice would have helped you? What advice, would you give them?
So the first advice I would give is be really sure that it is your career you're unhappy with and not just your job. Because I've also had moments where I was still happy in SEO, where I really thought I wanted to go completely out of marketing, which would have been the worst choice. Because I love marketing. Because if you work for if you have a really toxic work environment, you can quickly feel like not only like you don't like this, but unfortunately it can happen that your self-esteem is completely destroyed and you just feel like you're incompetent. So always really make sure that it is the field you're unhappy with and not just that it's the company, because I would be very sad if I wasn't in marketing right now. But if you are sure that you want to change, then I think it's really important to just know that it's never too late and you're not losing anything. One thought I had to fight is that now I wasted 3 years in SEO, but there's nothing wasted. There are so many transferable skills, and we talked about a lot of them, but there are even more indirect ones. Like, just think about it, like every meeting you have, every person you interact with, that is a skill. Like, if you transition from any job where you work with people to any other job where you work with people, that is half of it. Like, I mean, soft skills are so big. I mean, there's a reason why we study something, but then it's completely different when we start working. So just believe in yourself and just know that you can do learning by doing. Like, it will be fine. You're an adult, you can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, really nicely put. And I think it's a really nice note to kind of finish on, I think. And we'll go now to like one of our favorite sections, which is room 404.
Don't know if, Sean, just to jump in, I love the fact that we finish on a high with the speaker, but then we move on to room 404, where we're ranting and putting something into a room.
Yeah,
We
but that's
might
the thing. We like to finish on a negative, don't we? We're British, right? Well, at
Anyway,
least
finishing
we're
on a
living in
negative.
It's a high note because we're getting rid of it.
But yeah, and it makes people feel good
good.
about banishing something, right? So
good framing there. Well done, Joe.
That's it. Who doesn't want to break something at the end of the day, So yeah. So room 404, we invite our guests to banish something to the room 404, never to be seen again and to be locked away. Josephine, what would you like to banish?
I would like to banish boring, soulless B2B content, because it's just this idea, I think, for a lot of B2B marketers that you have to be super stiff because it's all serious and we're all business people. I would like to banish that. So whenever you catch the thought like, oh no, I can't do this, this is too like casual, like it might not be an issue. At the end of the day, you're just talking to people. Yes, they are acting as a business, but we're all people. So no, nobody likes the lifeless content. Nobody likes the cold content. Like, LinkedIn is still like social media. It has social in it. Like, nobody wants to be at a funeral, like on LinkedIn. Like, let's put life into content.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, good.
Preach.
I think we can all agree with that. Yeah. It reminds me of, I think it was at Spotlight conference. They, one of the major things was like, no boring content, and that's, it kind of resonates with that. So yeah, let's put that in room 404. Josephine, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's been a really informative talk for people. I think we've had a really good chat. Hopefully, people will get like a lot out of that if they're thinking of transitioning between roles, between channels, between careers. And I think, it's been really helpful to people. So thank you so much for sharing your experience. where can people find you online on social media if they'd like to ask you a few questions or get your advice on anything?
Definitely on LinkedIn. It's weird because I'm a social media manager, but I only have LinkedIn because I like doing social media for companies, not for myself. So yeah, find me on LinkedIn and please just drop me a DM. I'm always happy to help you transition to something else. I'm here for questions.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Fantastic. Amina, any final thoughts?
No, I mean, I love talking to you as always. So thank you so much for coming to the podcast. And for anybody listening, obviously, we have to do the whole subscribe.
Yeah, please
spiel,
do.
so-
Please do subscribe. Please do like, share, comment, and yeah, join the conversation when the episode comes out. We really look forward to hearing from you and hearing your thoughts as well. So yeah, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. So thanks everyone.
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye bye.